Welcome to the Victory Education Lounge. I'm your host Maurice, and today we're diving into a fascinating topic: Sickle Cell 101, Understanding the Genetic Puzzle, Part 1. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Your engagement helps us reach more people with this important information. Imagine your body as a bustling city, with red blood cells as the vehicles carrying precious cargo, oxygen, to every corner. Now picture some of these vehicles suddenly changing shape, becoming crescent-shaped and rigid. This is the essence of sickle cell disease, a genetic condition that affects millions worldwide. Have you ever wondered what causes sickle cell disease? Well, today, we're delving deep into this genetic puzzle to uncover its mysteries. Picture your body as a bustling metropolis, and your red blood cells as the delivery trucks carrying precious cargo, oxygen, to every corner. In sickle cell disease, some of these delivery trucks or red blood cells suddenly change shape from a flexible round disc to a rigid crescent or sickle shape. This is the crux of sickle cell disease, a genetic condition affecting millions across the globe. At the heart of sickle cell disease is a single mutation in a gene called HBB. This gene is responsible for producing beta-globin, a key part of hemoglobin, the protein that gives red blood cells their oxygen-carrying capabilities. In people with sickle cell disease, this mutation causes the hemoglobin to form long chains when it releases oxygen, distorting the shape of the red blood cells into the characteristic sickle shape. The plot thickens when we consider how this gene is inherited. Sickle cell disease is what we call an autosomal recessive disorder. Autosomal means it involves chromosomes that aren't sex chromosomes, while recessive means that a person needs two copies of the mutated gene, one from each parent, to have the disease. This pattern of inheritance creates an array of possible genetic scenarios in families, which we'll delve into later. So, what does all this mean for individuals and families affected by sickle cell disease? It means understanding this genetic puzzle is key to managing the disease, planning for the future, and even potentially preventing it. So let's delve deeper into this genetic puzzle and understand how it affects individuals and families. At the heart of sickle cell disease is a single mutation in a gene, but how does this one change cause such a significant impact? Picture this. In every cell of your body, there's a gene called HBB. This gene is like a blueprint for creating beta-globin, an essential piece of the hemoglobin protein. Hemoglobin, as you might remember from biology class, is the superhero protein that enables our red blood cells to transport life-giving oxygen throughout our bodies. But what happens when the blueprint, the HBB gene, isn't quite right? In the case of sickle cell disease, a mutation in the HBB gene leads to a very different kind of hemoglobin. When this mutated hemoglobin releases its oxygen, it doesn't just let go and move on. Instead, it forms long chains that distort the red blood cell into a crescent or sickle shape. And just like that, we have the crux of sickle cell disease. A simple mutation in a single gene leads to a significant and life-altering condition, but there's more to this genetic puzzle. Sickle cell disease is an autosomal recessive disorder, a term that sounds complex but can be broken down easily. Autosomal refers to the fact that the gene in question is not a sex chromosome, meaning it affects both males and females equally. Recessive means that two copies of the mutated gene, one from each parent, are needed for a person to have the disease. So the inheritance pattern of this disease can lead to various scenarios. Let's look at a few examples. If both parents carry one copy of the sickle cell gene, their child could be born with the disease, be a carrier, or not have the gene at all. If one parent has the disease and the other doesn't carry the gene, all their children will be carriers. The possibilities are fascinating, and they're a crucial part of understanding sickle cell disease. In the next scene, we'll dive into these inheritance patterns in more detail. Stay tuned as we continue to unravel the genetic puzzle of sickle cell disease. What happens when two carriers of the sickle cell gene have a child, or when one parent is affected and the other isn't? Let's delve into the intriguing world of inheritance patterns. Picture the first scenario. Both parents are carriers of the sickle cell trait. In this situation, each child has a 25% chance of having the disease, a 50% chance of being a carrier, and a 25% chance of not inheriting the gene at all. Now, suppose one parent has the disease and the other doesn't carry the gene at all. In this case, all their children will be carriers, but none will have the disease. On the other hand, if one parent is a carrier and the other is unaffected, each child has a 50% chance of being a carrier and a 50% chance of not having the gene at all. If both parents have the disease, all their children will also have it. This is a challenging situation that requires careful management and support. Lastly, consider a scenario where one parent has the disease and the other is a carrier. Here, each child has a 50% chance of having the disease and a 50% chance of being a carrier. As you can see, the inheritance patterns of sickle cell disease are not a game of chance, but a predictable pattern based on the genetic makeup of the parents. Understanding these patterns is not just a fascinating journey into the world of genetics, but it's also crucial for genetic counseling and family planning. This knowledge can help families make informed decisions and prepare for the potential challenges that come with sickle cell disease. So, the next time you hear about sickle cell disease, remember it's not just about the sickle-shaped cells. It's a story of genes, inheritance, and the incredible complexity of our genetic makeup. Understanding these patterns is crucial for genetic counseling and family planning. While there's no universal cure yet, there are several strategies to manage symptoms and improve the quality of life. Let's dive into some of these strategies. First off, we have medications. The most commonly used is hydroxyurea. This drug is a game changer for many patients as it reduces the frequency of pain crises and the need for blood transfusions. But like any medication, it requires regular monitoring and can have side effects. Then there are pain management medications. These are essential for dealing with sickle cell crises. They provide relief during painful episodes, but must be handled with care. Some of them can be addictive if not properly managed. Next, we have blood transfusions. These can be life-saving. They can prevent stroke in high-risk children and manage chronic anemia. However, they come with their own set of challenges. There's a risk of iron overload and potential for transfusion reactions, which can be serious. Lastly, there's the bone marrow transplant. This is currently the only potential cure for sickle cell disease. It's a complex procedure and requires a match which is not always easy to find. It's also risky. But when successful, it can completely eradicate the disease. As you can see, each management strategy has its pros and cons, but they all play a crucial role in managing sickle cell disease. It's about finding the right combination that works best for the individual. This requires regular checkups with healthcare providers, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and staying informed about new developments in research and treatment. It's also about having a strong support system. Family, friends, healthcare workers, and fellow patients. They can provide emotional support, practical advice, and a sense of community. So, while it's a challenging condition, there are ways to manage sickle cell disease and lead a fulfilling life. Sickle cell disease is indeed a complex genetic puzzle. In this journey, we've uncovered the genetic mystery that lies at the heart of sickle cell disease. It all comes down to a single mutation in the HBB gene, which codes for the beta-globin component of hemoglobin. This mutation, when present in both copies of the gene, leads to the formation of sickle-shaped red blood cells, causing a myriad of health complications. We've also delved into the fascinating world of autosomal recessive inheritance. Understanding that you need 2 copies of the mutated gene to manifest the disease is vital. It highlights the various scenarios that can occur depending on whether both parents are carriers, one is a carrier, one is affected, or both are affected. This knowledge is invaluable when it comes to genetic counseling and making informed family planning decisions. But the genetic puzzle of sickle cell disease doesn't end there. Management strategies are an integral part of this picture. We've explored the role of medications like hydroxyurea and pain management medications, as well as the benefits and risks of blood transfusions and bone marrow transplants. While there is no universal cure yet, these strategies can help manage symptoms and drastically improve the quality of life for individuals with sickle cell disease. To sum it up, sickle cell disease is a fascinating, albeit challenging, genetic puzzle. By understanding its genetic basis and inheritance patterns, we can better manage the disease and make informed decisions. And while the journey to a universal cure continues, the strategies we do have can make a world of difference for those affected by this condition. As we wrap up, remember that knowledge is power. Understanding sickle cell disease helps us support those affected and contributes to broader awareness. In our next video, we'll delve deeper into the symptoms and complications of sickle cell disease. So stay tuned. Before we go, a quick disclaimer. The information in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Any health-related decisions should be discussed with a licensed physician. Thank you for joining us in the Victory Education Lounge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Your engagement helps us create more valuable content and reach those who need this information. Until next time, this is Maurice, wishing you good health and happiness. Disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Any health-related decision should be discussed with a licensed physician or qualified healthcare professional, especially if you have existing health conditions or are taking medications.